So, Mary, thank you for coming on the show on Women's Mind today. Really excited to have you. Mary, just to get started, could you share with us um, the pros and cons that you have encountered in being a mature Christian single woman?
Yes, sure. First of all, I just want to make you aware that I have chosen at the moment in my life to be a single woman. It's not
Mm.
that I've been married in the past. There's been opportunities in my past to get married, but I've declined. I'm going to go through the reasons why. So I've chosen to be single at the moment. It may change in the future. I don't know, but I've chosen at the moment. Anyway, the positives I've found by being single, I've got the freedom to do what I want, and I really like to do what I want. I don't really like having to ask anybody's permission. Are they happy with this? I just like, if I wake up in the morning, I'm guided to do something, I want to do it, and I really like the freedom of my mind to do that. The other great thing about it is I'm very independent and I can just go where I want. I love independence. It's very liberating for a woman. It boosts my confidence. And I can tell you, since I've been single, my confidence has soared beyond measure because I've been able to achieve things. And in the past, when I've been in a relationship and I wanted to achieve something, I've always been knocked back and pulled back by a man. I'm not saying all men do that, but this is just my experience. And the other great thing is I've been able to make my own decisions. I haven't got to rely on somebody to make the decision for me. And that's really, really empowering for me. I don't like to be told to do something for the sake of doing it because they've told me that's the decision and that's the end of it. I like to have that freedom to discuss things and to really make my own informed decision based on is put before me. So they're the things that I think are great. There's probably more, but they're the first three things that came to my mind. The things that are a bit negative about it, I suppose, that are things that you might find, well, are not so good, is sometimes it's nice to have that listening ear that you can just call somebody straight away and to have that support in a crisis. Because, we all have crises that go on in our lives. And obviously, the financial extra income and the intimacy. That's the other thing. So they're my, and based on my experience at the moment. Okay, so does that answer your question clearly?
Yes, yes, definitely. Thank you.
That's
You
okay.
made mention of some things that I just want to touch on. You said that you chose to be single.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so I want to find out why.
Well, because of the reasons, I don't feel at the moment I'm ready to commit to a relationship. Because let's be honest, having a relationship with yourself has enough struggles on its own, doesn't it? And I think the minute I've been in relationships quite a lot in my life, and when you go into another relationship, you've got an awful lot more you've got to consider. You've got to consider them, you've got to consider their family, you've got to consider their friends. And I've got quite a lot that I want to do, achieve in my life at the moment. And at the moment, I just don't feel ready to have somebody in my life. Well, I've actually got to consider. I suppose to put it in layman's terms, I'm quite enjoying being selfish about me. So if I decide tomorrow, for example, I don't know, I want to go out on a 10-mile bike ride, which I love doing, I don't have to consider them or anybody else you're supposed to be seeing. Because I know when you're in a relationship, you've got a lot of people that come in with that relationship. It's just not them, it's their in laws, it's their family, it's the whole lot. So that's why at the moment I'm choosing. And I have to say, what is so interesting, because I've chosen to be single, I do attract a lot of interest. And I've had about 10 interests recently, some guys contacting me, and I just think it's interesting because I'm not projecting that desperation. Does that
Wow.
make sense?
Yes, that's very powerful there. It's almost like you're not searching, but
No, I'm not.
you're not searching, but they're looking for you. So
Yeah,
it's almost like what you're saying is that desperation actually pushes
yes,
people away, pushes
yeah,
men away.
and
And
it
when
and
you
it's yeah, exactly. And I just think, do you know what? at the moment, the most important person in my life is me, and you can wait. In next year I might decide, I'll go dating again. But at the moment, um, and I've come to the conclusion that if I spend the rest of my life being single, then I'll be fine with that. I've got no issue with it because I actually have a very good life, and I'm very, very grateful for all the great things that I have.
Mm-hmm. I want to believe that it could be a kind of clue that this is God's will for you in this season of your life to be single, as you
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
to
But
find your
I
calling.
just go,
Because,
yeah, I just go by how I feel, and that's how I
mm-hmm,
feel at the moment. But years ago, when I was a lot younger, I'm probably a little bit more desperate. I probably would have been one of these women that were constantly looking for a guy, and it was just the worst thing to do. And I just thought, you know what? So, having a relationship is wonderful. There's no two ways up. But there's an awful lot of problems you can have having a relationship. And I just decided that I'm actually going to focus on making me happy, just
yes.
me, and not relying on making a guy making me happy.
Mm-hmm. And you are at peace with yourself. You're at
Yeah,
peace with yourself.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much. Now, you talked about some of the challenges of being single, which you talked
Hmm.
about. You touched
Yes.
on intimacy. So, how have you been able to address that in your own life?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I do have a really strong network of good friends and family. I'm a member of a little group, so I've always got somebody if I wanted to talk to if I want to. But do you know what? These days, I really spend more of my time praying. So I think that's the best wisdom to come through. Because, when you speak to a friend, even, sometimes they could just end up giving you the problems they've had in the same situation. And I'm really, really passionate on when I've got a problem, speak to somebody who's actually resolved it themselves. And I just tend to pray more. But I do have the difference is I have people that I can talk to without a doubt. And sometimes I choose to, and sometimes I choose not to. Sometimes I just choose to pray, and I find the problem resolves itself. The other thing is, which I'm really, really, really blessed and fortunate about. Well, I've had loads of crises in my life, especially with home stuff, and I'm very fortunate to have a very, very supportive family that are very hands on to get involved if something needs resolving. But if I didn't have that, because a lot of people do have that, then I think the sort of person I am, I would just basically what I call have like a network of specialised people. For example, I promised with my car, I think it was in the summer, and I could have gone to the garage, but it would have cost you probably £200-300. So I contacted my brother. My brother's very, very good with cars, and he came over and he sorted it. But if he couldn't sort it, I know I've got a really good local mechanic that I trust. So the support really is there. So I've got a very good support network in lots of um, areas. And the other thing is, um, the financial situation, I've really learned to manage my money, and I've learned to really save really well. So, um, and even if I was married, I still would like to have my own income. I think it's really important to have your own income and your own savings. I know you as a couple you've been together, but as an independent woman, confident woman, I think it's really liberating for me the fact that I've saved this money and I've done it on my own without any handouts from anybody. So I've conquered it because I've learned how to. And one of the other things I also think is, you know, it's not. It's not a man's responsibility to make me happy, to provide for me. It's my responsibility. And that's what I've learned to do. And it's just liberated me as a woman. And I am actually really proud of what I've overcome with it because I know a lot of women really struggle, and that's why I'm passionate about helping them. And I'm sure there's many other areas of my life that I found again that are probably not so good, but I don't foresee it to be a problem. I don't wake up every morning and think, oh my God, I wish I had a man in my life. I wish I had a man to support me because that's just a recipe for disaster.
Yes.
And I also believe that when the right man is ready for me and I'm ready, I think I will be so whole and strong and confident enough for him that we'll just match perfectly. I won't be needy. He won't be looking to how can I say? I mean, I just see this in so many relationships that women are, in my opinion, a lot of women are very desperate for a man, and they attract the wrong guys, and they spend the next flipping how many years trying to get out of the marriage because they married the wrong guy. Because they marry out of loneliness rather than compatibility. And I'm really strong in that because it's marriage is really important. You've got to be compatible. You've got to really understand each other and have the same values and the same mission. Anyway, that was a very long answer. I apologise.
Yeah, that's very powerful what you just shared there, and you actually come across definitely as a confident and happy and fulfilled single woman, and that is where I believe that God wants us to be. And you made mention, which is quite interesting, that being single has actually boosted your confidence. That is quite interesting because it's often the other way around for a lot of single, especially single matured women. And I think that culture also plays out there because there's certain culture that there's a lot of pressure on women at of a certain age that, oh, you're not married, you don't have your children yet, blah blah blah, that kind of a thing. Or you're busy making all of this money, who are you going to leave it for when you finally die, and things like that. And so these are all things that statements like these, and that punctures the confidence of a lot of single women, especially I can speak of African culture and even of the Asian culture. And so a lot of, as I said, mature single women confidence are punctured. Even women that are doing quite good in their career and in their life are just feeling that pressure, and therefore not so confident until they feel that they find out Mr. Right and get married. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I've basically I used to be part of a lot of African churches for years, and I used to observe these women constantly going for deliverance. I thought, what's the deliverance all about? I didn't know what deliverance was, and it was always about their husbands. I said, and I couldn't understand. And then I was made aware, but because a lot of African women, and this is cultural, really, really want to get married. That's the number one thing. You've got to get married. You've got to get married, as you just said. I said, well, why don't you just wait until you're ready till you get the right guy? Because then you spend the rest of your life regretting it. And so I know it's a challenge, but I think, as women, you have the absolute right to say, well, this is not what I want at the moment. I need to spend time for myself to see what I want in life before I commit myself. And don't be badgered or bullied into anything that you don't want to do. The most important thing with entering into a relationship, no matter what culture you're from, is just to make sure you're compatible. The worst thing is, I keep repeating it, to marry for desperation or loneliness. It's a recipe for disaster. And that is really what, I've seen so many African women in the church say that, they don't like the husband, they don't get on, because they married him too quickly, because they've been pressured into getting married.
Yeah, and just to also add on to what you said, we're talking about culture,
Yeah,
and the cultural pressure and all of that, which is making a lot of women run into marriage, or making them lose their confidence and thinking that they've not achieved, and they're a
yes,
failure because they're not yet married. But our own culture as children of God should be the Bible culture. And if you look through the Bible, a good example is Martha and Mary, who were single ladies in the Bible. And there was an incident that happened of Martha. Jesus came to visit them. Many of us, I believe, knows the story. But for the sake of those that don't know the story, Jesus came to visit them with their brother Lazarus in their house, and Martha was so overwhelmed by the fact that Jesus came to visit. You can imagine maybe the Queen of England coming to visit
yeah,
you. And so she was all over, the kitchen trying to prepare a meal and wanting to give Jesus, a befitting welcome. And but Mary chose to just sit by the feet of Jesus to hear and listen to him speak and talk. And Jesus, rather than, so Martha was frustrated about that and said, oh, wow, Jesus, why didn't you just, rebuke my sister Mary for sitting down at your feet rather than helping me in the kitchen? And Jesus instead rebuked Martha and said, Martha, you're so worried and burdened about unnecessary things. Mary has chosen the right path, which is to be at the feet of Jesus, learning and growing in her relationship with God. So that story automatically just kind of states to everyone, and I believe that it's a story that shows every single mature woman that Jesus is much more interested in our relationship with Him, growing in our faith, rather than seeking out for a man or woman. And I don't even think Mary and Martha ever married. I don't think the Bible recorded that they ever married. But one thing that Jesus addressed in their life was their relationship with Him, with Christ. And that's the most important thing. So I just wanted to add that. Okay, I know that you have to get going because of your time. Mary
Can
just
I, can I,
time out.
can
But
I give?
before we go that, I have two more questions for you, really.
Okay.
But quickly before you go on, you've already touched on this fact that there's a question I wanted to ask here: is marriage meant for everyone? But you've already touched on it. Really not meant for everyone. You would know. Um, or do you still want to say something about that?
No, I just basically just said don't marry for loneliness, marry for compatibility, and I just wanted to say that if you are, oh, my screen's going, my light's gone. Sorry, my light's gone.
Okay,
Can you
don't
hear?
worry. Just go on. Yeah.
Basically, if you're feeling lonely, then just really try and explore other interests with other people online and offline. There's loads of things. There's loads of places you go to. And if you want to meet like-minded people, then start up your own group and there's loads of people online looking to connect with other people.
Yeah.
There's no reason for anybody to be lonely, or just get out and meet people. Join a club, be a joiner. There's so much interest out there. Rather than just focus on one thing in your life, you've got to get a man in your life. I would like to give some just can I just give a couple of questions to people so ladies just to ponder on? Is that okay?
Yes, go on, please. Yes.
Right. Just like my light works near now. Oh, I think it's gone. Okay. Let's do it if I can read from my phone. Basically, this is like a positive prescription. I just want them to think about what responsibility can you take to create more happiness in your own life? That's number one. Number two, how can you create more online and offline social connections in your life? And number three, how can you value yourself more? How do you treat yourself? I mean, if you was your best friend, how would you treat her? So it's three powerful questions there for you to ponder on, ladies, and see how you can use it in your life to make some changes.
Thank you so much, Mary, for creating time. Mary, as I said, she's still at work, so she just took some time out of a break to come and just share, and it's been powerful, powerful time. Thank you, Mary.